Hi, my name is Eric Young, and I'm the professor of this Media 2460. Sorry, I'm doing a lot of classes here. Media 2460 Intro to New Media Production. And it's a class that's really kind of a nuts and bolts how-to class geared towards producing online content and the content that you can distribute through video channels, through podcast channels, through blog channels, those kinds of things. Really, it's built around the premise that there are a number of skills that you need to come away with in terms of being able to produce content for just about any context you'll get into. Working in corporate media production or working in public relations or in broadcast, whatever the case might be, you're going to be creating content, both written content and visual content. So this class has been put together to kind of introduce you to those skills. Some of you might already have them and be quite masterful at doing them. But nonetheless, it's going to treat it as a new topic to you and somewhat elementary for some folks perhaps, but we'll get into, I'm going to move this arrow out of my nose, we'll get into some techniques, some aesthetics, some ways to go through and improve perhaps what it is that you're doing. So the concept is to get into producing for a blog, and your blog's going to contain all of the media that you're going to be producing for the semester. So the first requirement is you're going to need to create a blog. And if you don't know how to do that, no worries. We'll go through, not in this video, but we'll go through a tutorial in getting a blog set up for you on Blogger. And I'll tell you about why we're using Blogger a little bit later on. So what I wanted to do with this introductory video was to get into the syllabus, some of the requirements, and hopefully maybe flesh out some questions that you might have. If you have questions, please put them on the discussion board. I'll put up a place where you can do that so everybody can benefit from your questions. I'd like to get everybody involved here in terms of understanding what we're doing in terms of this course content is concerned. So I'm going to zap out of this video window here and just get into the Canvas, for lack of a better term, into the course syllabus. Okay, if you're new to Canvas, you see some tabs over here on the left-hand side in terms of how to navigate through Canvas. The first one you need to get into will deal with the syllabus. This video will be posted later on. It will be posted probably on the home page, so all of you will be able to find it. But as the syllabus opens, there are the course description, goal, and outcomes that we're going to get into here. I already kind of told you what this is all about, but here are the outcomes that this is designed around. Create and publish and maintain a blog addressing a specific subject of interest, and we'll talk about that here in a minute. Well, actually in another post, we get into it, some kind of an audience analysis and what you are interested in. Okay. Secondly, create and then you'll correct and upload original photographic content to support your blog posts. The digital photography will be required for this as well. If you have an iPhone, a smartphone, you're fine. You don't need any fancy gear other than that. If you have a DSLR or something along that line, that's great too. Next, we'll be producing and editing podcast content that you can post to your blog. Again, you'll be using your smart device for that, as well as producing and editing video content to also publish to your blog. And we'll be using YouTube as a channel to do that. Then we'll get into a social media strategy that will cross-promote your blog over at least 2 other platforms, such as Facebook or Instagram. Maybe you want to get into LinkedIn or something along that line. And then we'll evaluate through the use of metrics, okay, the efficacy of your blog. How are people engaging with your content? And so we'll introduce you to probably to Google Analytics with that. And lastly, then, we'll show you how to use those analytics to adjust and adapt to what your audience is responding to. So that's the main content that I want to get into here with you. And to do that, we'll get into these activities. And they are found under the item pool and course requirements as you scroll down into the syllabus. So following those there, we're going to get into create and maintain a blog. We'll get into still image production, podcast production, video content production. We'll cross-promote, and we'll get into analytics with that. So those are the... and there's a short description of each one, and you can go through and read that if you would, please. Make sure you read the whole syllabus before we get out of here. But I'm going to click on one of these so it shows you, it actually takes you out to a different page, and a rubric will come up, and this will also be reflected in the assignments area too here, okay? But the rubric comes up and it gets into an activity description. First off, it covers what the outcome of the class is, and then it gets into the activity, and then it gets into the rubric. This is how you will be graded online throughout the 15 weeks ahead of us here in this semester, right? So if you follow the rubric in terms of putting together your assignment, you'll be just fine, and you'll see what different levels. Obviously I'm looking for the top points here for you to go through and do. So if you go through and make sure you read through every rubric, this is probably the longest one there because it has to do with most of the content you'll be producing. Make sure you read the rubric. That'll guide you through how to put things together. And I will use each rubric as a framework each week to go through and teach you how to do each of these types of activities as we get into them. All right? So I'm going to pop out of this and go back to the syllabus there. And I'm hoping as you go through each one, we're going to handle these over the course of the next 6 or 7 weeks in the semester. And then we'll break out into where you'll be working on each of these to develop your blog. Let me show you what I'm talking about there before I get into the rest of the syllabus. I'm going to go to modules here. Now I don't have these published yet, but as I bring them up, you can see kind of behind the curtain how these things are going to work. So our first week, we're going to get into creating and maintaining a blog. Okay, this unlocks on the week of the 22nd, our first day of class, basically. Next week, we get into creating content, and then we get into creating photographic content and so on. So you can see how the modules go through and establish a framework. A lot more will be posted to these modules as the class progresses and continues along. Right now it's kind of a skeletal, but at least I wanted to show you how that's going to progress and how that's going to work there. Okay. So there's kind of a habit that you'll want to get into, and I talk about this within the syllabus itself as you scroll down into philosophy, policies, and resources. You can go through and read this. The main thing here is 3 ideas. First off, a lot of people think that taking an online class is easier. That online means that you can just do the shortcuts. You can go right to the assignment and not worry about looking at the educational content that's been designed and structured and assessed here on Canvas. And then third, it means that you can write like a text. And that's not true. None of those are true. Especially with this class. So it's not easier at all. By taking this class online, there's an expectation that you have online access. You'd be surprised at how many students will text me or shoot a message to me over the course of the semester and say, hey, I'm going camping, I won't be near any internet access, am I going to miss anything? And it just makes me kind of scratch my head because I think, well, why don't you take an online class for them? Because you need to be online every week with me over the course of the semester. That's the equivalent of showing up, right? So, and if you're not going to do that, if you're going to be gone, if you don't have Wi-Fi access, I don't care where you are. I'm coming to you from my garage right now, and most of the stuff I'm going to be shooting here will be done in my garage, okay? And I don't live in St. George. I live in Bountiful, Utah, north of Salt Lake. So this is my way of telecommuting and putting things together. But I'm doing it, and I'm online every day to go through and see what is it you're doing. I expect you to be online, not every day, okay, but at least Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday is when I'll have content posted, and I'll be looking for interchanges between you and I, okay? Secondly, you need to develop some kind of routines then with Canvas if that's what you're going to do. Start each week by taking a look at the announcements because any news I have for the class will be posted under the announcements, okay? And that's under this tab right here as we go along. And then you probably want to take a look at discussions and see if any questions have been posted or if I have decided to create a discussion around a particular blog or a specific topic or something that way. So you might want to check and see what's going on within those, all right? So it's a good habit as you get going in to this online class for you to go through and check those 2 threads to make sure you're not missing anything. And to get into the habit of doing that, okay, at the beginning of each week, check your announcements. Because I'm going to walk you through the module and show you what's due and get into the different posts that will show you how to do that, okay? Just to make sure that you understand everything that's going on. Don't skip that material. A lot of students, I notice, I know where you are within Canvas. If you've looked at the material and then you went to the activity, or if you just cut a corner and went right to the activity and tried to do that without looking at the material, I know that. I can see your metrics by student in every class that I teach online. And so if you're not getting it, if you're not doing well in terms of accomplishing the rubric, and I go through and look and see that you're really not paying attention to the content that I put online, I'll call you out on that and make sure that there's a reason why we're doing this. And I promise I'm not going to waste your time, okay? That what I put on there will be relevant, will be hopefully stimulating on some level to go through and make you a better producer in terms of the content that we're going to be doing, all right? I'll let you go through and read the rest of this. Please read the rest of this and make sure you go through the entire syllabus here, especially if you're kind of new to the whole concept of higher education. Down at the bottom, here it gets into just taking a look at the dates here. Yeah, okay, those are all right. It gets into when things are due. So still image production, podcast, video production, cross-promo analytics, and then the blog itself. So at the beginning of the semester, we're going to get into learning how to do those things. And then the last half of the semester is when you actually execute them. And once you get enough evidence to show me that you know how to produce still images, that you know how to write well, that you know how to post well with your blog, that you know how to podcast and vlog in terms of video production, then we start evaluating what you're doing. And I want you to go on to each other's blogs within the class and not necessarily evaluate them, but leave comments and take a look and see how they're doing and make some recommendations perhaps to see what you might be doing. You'll be able to do that. I'll establish a discussion post that will have all your blogs linked to it, and that way you can use that to go through as a blog list and look at what each other is doing within the group. So that's pretty much it for this video. I've already gone pretty long as it is. If you have any questions, make sure you go through and write them under. I'm going to create a discussion tab and put your questions underneath that discussion tab so I can respond to those, as well as everybody else can go through and maybe benefit from the query that you put out there. If you don't want to do that, that's fine. You can also email me directly through Canvas if you go to your inbox and create a message like email and send it to me. Or you can email me at my main email at young@dixie.edu. The problem with that is I've got the oldest email address on campus. I've been teaching at Dixie for 23 years. And I get a lot of junk mail in, so you kind of run the risk of getting lost in everything that's going on there. I have like 11,000 unopened messages in my inbox, and I know that drives some people crazy, but hey, that's the way it goes. Also, I am on campus. I'll be on campus Tuesdays from noon to about 4 o'clock. I'll come down Tuesday morning and meet with students, whomever needs to meet. It's a good idea to set up an appointment with me during that time so I can get you in. But if you want to come by my office on campus, I'm in the Jennings building, the Jennings Communication Building, room 113. And you're welcome to come by and chat. I'll be there on Tuesdays. Some days I'll be there differently, and I'll post that within the announcements and let you know when I'm on campus. So welcome to Media 2460, new media production. I'll be interested to see what you decide to go through and produce and help you out along the way. Okay? Talk to you later on.